Deer, including a well-known park in the heart of the city, the cenotaph statue in downtown Red Deer, and the Red Deer Cemetery, which includes a veterans area where fallen soldiers are buried. A teacher package was also developed so they had an opportunity to enrich their classrooms leading into the Remembrance Day 2020. Moving forward, our schools have seen the power of a common division-wide approach, and they have agreed to incorporate a division-wide element into their Remembrance Day ceremonies each year. This will also still allow schools to personalize their ceremonies and incorporate a common piece. So also being recognized today is Super Stu RDPSD, that was on Twitter. In August 2018, former superintendent, who is here with us today, launched a new Twitter account. This wasn't just an ordinary account. It had a twist to help raise the profile of Red Deer Public Schools in the community and beyond. The purpose of our initiative was to showcase the great things happening in the classrooms, schools, and district while portraying excellence in teaching and learning activities that support a diverse range of values, skills, and ideas in Red Deer Public Schools. For 2 years, each school day, 155 participants of varying social media experience shared a wide range of happenings in our classrooms and schools, and it also acted as a way to build community within the division. At Super Stu, RDPSD genuinely reflected the division's most important work with a strong focus on teaching and learning. It showcased the work that we as a school division do each and every single day. Every school was covered multiple times. We showcased what teachers are learning on professional development days, and we covered some special weekend events. So congratulations, and I will have some awards here. And then I'll hand out the awards, and then I'll open it up to trustees to ask. Oh yes, sorry. Bruce, comments from you with regards to your award.
We're just happy to be able to showcase the division in different ways, and it was an exciting project. I do want to thank both Aaron and Trina, particularly with Remembrance Day. And Trina, you did such amazing work in terms of the art showcase and bringing in elements that are such an important part of the tradition of Son of Lindsay Thurber. And for us to share that across the division was really important. Also coordinating all of the pieces. This was substantial work at a busy time, and you put an awful lot into that. And Aaron, you were key to that one as well, but you have a guest with you today.
Yes.
You have the actual Super Stu.
Way better looking though.
Come on. One of the righties is more tan. Anyway, Super Stu was a great way, and it was at a time where we needed to profile our social media better and to share that account and create lots of joy. And it was something that kids across the division wanted to be part of as well. So it was incredibly successful as well in profiling the great things about Red Deer Public Schools. So thank you.
Awesome. I'll do this at the same time. Very much. Congratulations. I will now open it up to trustees if they have any questions, comments. Trustee McCully.
Big thank you again to everybody that was involved and everybody that put their time, talent, and heart into these. I remember being part of Super Stu, and I followed it daily. And I learned so much about individuals and their schools and their passions as well. So well done in doing that. It just, it had to have brought many more people a better awareness of what our district was and is. Oh, Lindsay Thurber. It has, to me, always had a fantastic Remembrance Day program to begin with. To be there when greater dignitaries than me have been there and wanted to be there. I remember when our Prime Minister was even going to come. That's huge. and the whole school embraces it, and the community embraces it. So for you guys to capture it the way you did on video, you know, so grateful. So again, thank you all. Thank you, Bruce, for everything that you put into this as well. You're very humble when it comes to recognition. So I just want to tell you with my own words and my eye to eye that you are appreciated.
Thank you.
And a very, very welcome part of our team.
Thank you.
I'll echo what Trustee McCauley said. Thank you so very much to our communications department. The work that you do day in and day out is absolutely remarkable. I know in the position that I am, the work that you've given me and recommendations you've given me is greatly appreciated. Pretty much on the daily, so thank you very, very much. One of the things that jumped out to me with regards to these awards was the judging grade is 90%. Kudos to our communications department. That is absolutely remarkable. Super Stew was an amazing opportunity to bring awareness about what happens in our division on the daily, so it was great. And the Remembrance Day ceremony video was remarkable for those that have seen it or have not seen it. It was very, very moving and touching. So thank you very much for all the work that went into that. With that being said, I look for a motion from a trustee. Vice Chair Peacock. All those in favor? Perfect. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thanks, everyone. It was nice to see you, Stu.
How often have you heard that?
Right now. You can stay, you know. You can stay.
Oh, that's right. You have to stay.
You have to stay.
You can't leave.
Thanks, Trina. Thanks, Trina.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
very
Thank you,
much.
Trina. Christine, you almost got up to go too.
Oh. We lost her.
We will now move into our governance agenda, 10.1, administrative staffing commitment recommendations. Superintendent Erickson.
Yep, we were very fortunate to have spent the last couple of days interviewing for new principals within Red Deer Public. It was a fantastic couple of days to say the least, and we are very fortunate, I've said this time and time again, with the leadership that we have across all of our buildings in Red Deer Public. And moving forward, that will hold true, and I'll turn it over to Trustee Gould.
I move that the Board of Trustees approves the recommendations of the Administrative Staffing Committee.
Thank you so very much, Trustee Gould. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to 10.2, the enrollment summary report. From Ron Ebert. Sorry, with the layout of the room, I'm missing people.
Hopefully you had a chance to look at it in the package. There's not much to report. The good news is, I guess, looking back at a year ago, I would say that if I was going to make a prediction based on 1 year of COVID type data, our enrollment is trending up. So I think we should have a positive September, but we'll see. But I think the status is, or the attendance is where we expected, or the enrollment, sorry, is where we expect it to be, and it's looking positive for September.
Thank you very much. Trustee McCauley.
Ron, is there this kind of enrollments, ups and downs throughout the rest of the province, or is Red Deer better or worse than anybody? And if you don't know, I'm okay with it, and I don't know. That's a great question. No, I don't. I've never actually asked any of even our neighbors what what they've been like this year. I only compare to what our traditional enrollment. So I don't know, but I can certainly find out and get back to you. Just out of curiosity, I know everybody's doing everything they can to engage their students and have them back, but I haven't heard anything either if there are other districts that are struggling more or less.
If I might, I think the minister has made a comment that enrollment throughout the province is down. That's my recollection, but I'm not sure. And I do think that's interesting information. Do other divisions post their enrollment figures or at all on their websites, or? Very, very few do, but I can certainly reach out to my counterparts.
I think a key message that we heard from our minister is that we would be held harmless for enrollment.
Right.
in the upcoming budget. So I would say that there's still those fluctuations happening as we continue the COVID slide.
Nice term, COVID slide.
I'd be happy to move the report then as well, if that's all right.
Thank you very much, Trustee McCully. I was like, but it's usually. All those in favor?
Question on that.
10.3, report from the foundation of RDPSD, Bruce Berman.
Thank you very much, and I'll introduce Christine Plasto. She is our community chair with the foundation board, and the foundation continues to be a vital part of Red Deer Public Schools. We are aligned with the division priorities, and we're proud of the work that we get to do in creating life chances for students. So I will turn it over to Christine, who is going to do our annual presentation. The programs are listed here, but she also has a little surprise for another project that we're incredibly proud of too.
Thank you, everybody, for the invitation today and the opportunity to present on the foundation.
You know my way.
Right, Christine's way.
Sounds good. Okay, I got it here too. This just gives you a listing of our board members. So I have the privilege of being the chair once again this year. Dave Tilster is our vice chair, and Jason Brewer is our treasurer. And then you can see our other community representatives. Chad sits on the board as a superintendent. We have Morris Willing as a community representative. Matt is our trustee representative, our liaison. And we have Diane Roberts, who's our principal, one of our principals in the division. She sits on our board. Jaylene Tweedle is a community rep, and James Wright as well. And then Bruce is our fearless leader, and then Larissa also provides admin support. So just in terms of the focus of our foundation is, of course, to enhance and enrich the learning opportunities for our students through initiatives that are aligned with the priorities of Red Deer Public Schools. And so the foundation has the similar areas of focus, which is literacy and numeracy, equity, student success, and completion. So I'm just going to go through and kind of give an overview of our programs, and they're just kind of organized according to those areas of focus. So first, we're going to look at our programs that deal with literacy and numeracy. And this is probably one of our flagship programs that I'm sure most of the trustees are familiar with, which is Reading College. And so it's a literacy program for struggling readers. And it's a summer program that students dedicate 1 month of their summer. So they finish in June and they turn around and they come back in July for the month of July. And they get to build their skills, increase interest and motivation to read, and have fun while they're doing it. The last few years with COVID have been a little challenging for the Reading College, but this past summer we were able to do it in person again. And one of the fun things is it's actually at Red Deer College, Red Deer Polytechnic, which is my other day job. And I work there, so it's really fun to see the students. And always get to go for the day where people get invited and we get to witness and participate a little bit in what goes on, and it's a truly remarkable program. And then looking at the focus area of equity, we have a few programs there as well. First one, Bright Start, our pre-kindergarten program. And so this is a program, one of our programs where we provide some funding for students who wouldn't necessarily have the funds to attend the pre-kindergarten program. And so it's to help those students that are struggling before they get into kindergarten. And so helping them and responding early so that they can have the supports and the head start that they need to then be ready to go into kindergarten. And another program we have here is Music Plus. So this is where we provide some just a sec, it's going on by itself. I don't know what it is. Oh, this is so much easier when I'm sitting at home. Just a sec, I'm sorry. Thanks, good on the screen. Bring it back. Sorry. Okay. Music plus. So,
It must be on automatic, I'm sorry.
You have to talk pretty fast.
oh, I can talk fast, but I don't think we're gonna talk that fast.
Keep up with the slides.
Ron, do you know?
Can you see where it's, I'm like,
I'll get, what is it?
So maybe just under view.
Okay.
Go to view, the last one. Probably. See that part?
There's it under transitions.
this one?
Maybe let's just,
Just go to slideshow.
I think it's gone automatically. If you just make the screen bigger, see where it says click for the notes, if you just stretch that down, it'll make your screen, your thing bigger. It won't be full screen, but it'll be bigger than it is.
Like just from this screen?
No, the little line,
Yeah,
below that, yeah.
Yeah, no, I put it, this one.
move this to there.
Okay. So this program is essentially where we are able to purchase some music equipment for students. So it can be actual instruments, that sort of thing. And so helps to enhance band programs across the division. And then Step Up. It's a program where we provide necessities for students who would otherwise go without. And so it can be things like food, clothing, medical needs, transportation, and so things that we know would have a significant impact on their learning and future success. And so schools are able to access this support, and so it can be something that can supplement already some of the funds that they have, or it can be for something special. And so in the past, for this one in particular, we've done things, especially around Christmas time, we've been able to do some things out of this fund. Here's the exciting one that I flipped, that we I almost got let the cat out of the bag here. But this is actually one of our latest programs, and it's we're calling it Come Grow With Us. And so it's a greenhouse that's going to let students play, learn, and grow in the dirt. Yes, exactly. And so the idea behind this program is to help students develop practical, valuable life skills and new perspectives on food in particular, because that's what we're going to be able to do in the greenhouses, is they're going to essentially plant and harvest crops in a way. And so it's for kindergarten to grade 8 to apply knowledge in a hands-on environment, and it's going to also support research and leading edge passive solar building technologies. And so that's going to help reduce carbon footprints and also a sustainable, replicable, low impact, and cost-effective 4-season greenhouse. Can we talk a little bit about where it's going to be?
It is going to be at Normandeau School. Yeah, so it's a great addition for that school community, and we're working hard to get it constructed in time for next school year.
And some partnerships with state in particular?
Yeah, state, their Green Building Technology Program has been a key partner in this. We are also working closely with Scott Builders, and we also have a really good partnership with Rethink Red Deer, which is a local sustainability group that does a lot of really good work there. And we are also hoping through some of those connections to work closely with some of the suppliers and vendors locally, and that's one of the ways that we're going to be able to make this project a success. But I'll also share a quick anecdote with that. SAIT actually was approached by an Indigenous community nation up in northern Alberta, and they saw the good work that we were trying to get here, and they want to replicate it in northern Alberta with 5 greenhouses. So one of the purposes of this project is to, of course, make it aware and make it reasonable and duplicatable, or replicable, I should say, in other communities as well. So it's pretty exciting.
And also the greenhouse will be available to students from across the division as well. So that's an important thing. While it is housed at Normandeau, it's going to be accessible. And then the focus area of student success and completion. Flagship program there is the Finish Line. And so that's a program that provides supports to students who have left school, so they maybe didn't complete high school, and are within reach of actually completing. And so they get to come back and get some special supports and some special encouragement as well in order to complete. just have some ongoing projects that we also fund through the foundation, and so there's some photos of some of them. So you can see the dog run and the ski loppet. So dog run happens in the fall, the ski loppet's in the winter. There's the Young Writers Conference, and then choir kids. So, and I don't know, Bruce, I don't think we were able to do any of those events.
No, and that's been one of our COVID challenges, and so we've not had the opportunity to support those programs, but our hopes would be that in the 2022-23 school year, they will return. This is one of the ways that we can support all of our schools and really literally thousands of students by providing some of those supports. And these are many of the real traditions that are part of Red Deer Public Schools as well, so it's nice to be part of that.
And then a few of the other ongoing projects too, similar to that, there's Grow Boys and Grow Girls, Healing Through the Arts, and then the Youth Citizen of the Year. So again, those have been on a hiatus, but yeah, hoping to bring those back. Grow Boys and Grow Girls in particular is one that really does reach just about all of, well, it reaches every grade 5, pretty much in the rural division.
Yeah.
So. And another project that we've been involved in is Body Image Theater, and this is in conjunction with the Primary Care Network, who have provided funding to us for this. And it was in person, we were doing this, but then with COVID, this is the one where we did the video, right? So then a video was produced, so that was large thanks to Primary Care Network. And so now the video is available and can be shown to students as well.
We will actually be having a premiere of that production, and of course we'll make sure trustees are invited as well as we launch that particular initiative.
And then just shout out to the 50/50, which is one of our substantial fundraisers. And so there's the one that everybody gets to participate as staff, but we also this year did a 50/50 for the public. And so we're able to raise a significant amount of money actually through that. And there's a 58,000, was that for both of them or just the?
So we raised about 50,000, about 45,000 with the staff one, but our proceeds from our public one that we did was around $13,000. That was our first attempt at that, and we're quite pleased with it.
And that's the end of the slides. Any questions?
Trustee McCollum?
Thank you very much, Christine. This was a delightful presentation. I love hearing about what the foundation does and all the hard work everybody puts into it. A couple comments, if I may, about the greenhouse. If you need sunflower seeds, I grow my own and then harvest them. So if you need some sunflower seeds, ask me. This year, I have also started winter milk jug growing, if you're familiar with that. When seeds need to be frozen before they germinate and you don't put them in before the snow comes in, you put them in your milk jugs and then you leave them out there for 2 months. So you start them in like February and then in April when it starts to thaw. So it's something to maybe get the kids participating before the sun comes up. I know you have people that have more intelligence and experience behind it, but if you want somebody at the basic level to tell you to start having your milk jugs, you know, cleaned out and ready for next year. It's a fun way to get them started and to know that some seeds need to freeze before they can blossom instead of just planting them and watering them. And
Our kids are going to hope it turns out to be chocolate milk
right?
that grows.
If you could tell them that, then that would be wrong. But otherwise, yay, what a great thing.
Pretty cool.
Trustee Manning?
Thank you. Yeah, I gave up my seat on the foundation board to allow Matt to have some time on there and learn the foundation. What a great organization run by some great people and doing some great things for our students. So I appreciate that. When I look at the 50/50, you need to add a little line, trustees. I will need to win it twice before I get my money back, so.
And we appreciate your contribution.
Yeah, I know you do, Bruce. And I appreciate being able to give it to you. You do wonderful work. So I would appreciate being able, Chair, to make the motion to accept this report as information and with thanks to the foundation board members and for all that they do.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Pico?
Thank you. Thanks, Christine. And it's just an incredible work that the organization, that the foundation is doing. All of these projects are so meaningful, and I just, really feel them, that they're so important. And it's interesting how the foundation has evolved over the years. It's been in existence. Bruce, do you know when it was first
I
created?
think it was incorporated in '83.
Oh, wow, so a long time. So yes, it's really, like I say, evolved and responding to the local needs, so we appreciate that. So thank you, Christine, and to the other members of the board, I really appreciate their commitment.
Thank you very much. I just actually have a quick question with regards to the Open Doors program. Is that a fairly new program? The Open Doors?
Yes, that one was, it's a special project specifically for the Alternative School Center. And that was one of the, I guess, pieces that came out because of our awareness in the community. We actually had some donors come to us.
I remember being part of that
Understanding,
conversation.
the specific needs of some of the vulnerable youth in our alternative school programs. Basically with that one is one of the best ways we can open doors for those students to come to school is make sure that there's meals. And that's really what the intent of that project is. So as many of you know, the cafeteria home ec space over at Alternative School Center is a really important part. And they needed some additional support to be able to make meals available. And not only for kids to have those meals that time during that day, but also sending meals with them. And hoping that will build bridges for them to have a regular connection with the school. So some really visionary community leaders. Eric Raja, who's the founder of A Better World and does amazing work in so many ways, is our contact with that, and he has some good connections within the community that have supported that one. So it's kind of one of those one-off ones that we're able to respond to.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much to the foundation for everything that you do. One of the things that you touched on, and one of the important pieces, is the relationships that you have with partners in our community and other stakeholders, and most importantly, our students. So thank you very, very much to the foundation for everything you do. And with regards to the motion on the floor from Trustee Manning, all those in favor? Carried.
I just also want to extend my thanks for Christine coming today. She's doing a great job as our chair and is just representative of the community support that we have. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Christine.
And then I'm gonna leave.
10.4, second quarter financial statements. Colin Kearney.
Yes, well, yes, there is actually good news, is that we are halfway through the year, and I guess when I'm looking at stuff, I don't really have a whole lot to report, which is maybe a good thing because it's more or less in line with what we had planned, and the expenses mostly for staffing or in line. I'd say the only area that I think we anticipated, but you never really know, right, is the fluctuations in substitute staff, due to illness, and we definitely kind of started out at the beginning of the year with very low numbers, and then as the last kind of wave came through, we definitely seen a huge increase in staff vacancy, and I'd say we still are kind of seeing those numbers. They're not quite as high as they were a month ago, but definitely it's when you've got close to 100 staff, teachers missing, and then there's all the other staff or whatever, we're seeing some pretty big staffing costs or whatever, right? So just kind of again due to COVID, there were some things that were planned to be spent, weren't necessarily able to do those, so there's some savings there, but definitely our staffing costs to the HR budget is definitely seeing a huge increase to their substitute costs. But besides that, revenue, I guess, is what it looks like it was supposed to be, and so we're still, an appearance that we're going to be hitting close to target on the deficit of $4 million.
I like to see someone say hi. 4 million in the holes, and you're smiling and nodding your head, going, "Great, baby."
But
I like that.
I'm smiling because we've had deficits projected in every year in the last couple of years. We've had surpluses, so I like to kind of say that we are going to be on target. So unfortunately, yes, it is a deficit, but for me, it's nice to be closer to what we anticipated.
So it's a happy accounting thing for us. Okie dokie. I'll get you out of it.
Any questions for Colin? Trustee McCauley?
I don't know if this is for Colin, but he can definitely answer it if he wants to. But is this something we want to make a statement about? Is this something we want to put in a newsletter, put on our website, tell the media, make t-shirts? Is
That we're gonna hit our $4 million deficit?
Yeah.
Or the staffing
Let's wait and
costs?
see if we actually hit the 4 million.
Okay, any of this? It is news. I'm not saying it's good news.
I remember we did do some messaging at the beginning when we projected that we were going to be having a $4 million deficit, so I would be in favor of waiting to see if we hit that 4 million and.
Oh.
It might be $3,999,999.99.
Okay.
I'll throw the penny in.
I would move acceptance of this report as information with glee.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? Carried. 10.5, 3-year capital plan. That is still you, Colin.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna do my best at this. This is my first one here, so I did provide the memo there and tried to provide as much details on, because I obviously, when I was putting it together, it was a learning process for myself as well, right? So every single year, there's a 3-year capital plan, and it has to be submitted to Alberta Education by March 31st, so that's why it's being brought to you today. And so there was the list last year. It included 7 projects, and so then we had to review those projects to see, are they still a priority, and is there anything that should be removed from the list or added to the list. So the list is exactly the same as last year, except for we removed Fairview Elementary School, and that's mostly just because it's a small school, and some of the projects were identified as being something that we could do through our IMR and CMR funds. And so over the last couple of years, and actually it was probably prior to that or whatever, these projects were just kind of being done in small little bits or whatever, and then before you know it, the school is almost close to being modernized. So there's a few more little smaller projects that could be done over the next 2 or 3 years. But in theory, the school would now be considered to be modernized. So we decided that obviously there's no point in having it on the list anymore. So we removed that school, but it was replaced by Oriole Park Elementary School, because it's definitely a school that needs to be modernized, right? Because it's definitely struggling this year with mechanical issues. So there's quite a few days that the school was cold, and they were doing those issues. And if you go into the school, there's a lot of areas within the school that it probably looks exactly the same as it did the day that it was opened. So we added that to the list. So I guess with the memo today, I guess it's just for you guys to review kind of the priorities on the list. So you can go through those, and then if you feel that they need to be moved to somewhere else. But so we have the first priority is modernization and the addition of Hunting Hills High School. So you could say, or we not already have that approved, but from what I understand, we leave that on the list until the project is actually completed. So I guess maybe there could be some delay in the complication where the project is put on hold, I'm not sure, but from what I'm told, we leave it on there until then. And then we have the priority for a new middle school, so 6 to 8 in the northeast of Red Deer. And then the rest of the next few are modernizations, so modernization of Gateway Christian School, and then this is the new one for the year, the modernization of Oriole Park Elementary School, modernization of Glendale School, or Science and Technology School, modernization of Eastview Middle School, and then the last one is a new grade 9 to 12 school in the northeast. So open it up to the floor, I guess, if everyone, agrees to kind of the order of that. And then I guess just to add, as part of it's a list that we would submit, and if you guys were to approve that list, there's a whole bunch of details and background that gets submitted to Alberta Education, which is submitted through their, I think it's called Loomis system, and so it's just a whole bunch of details. So they've gone through all of the work to determine these, so it's not just like we'll pick this school as being a priority. There is a ton of background work, there's inspections of the schools, there's, you know, the utilization of the school, there's what is the work that needs to be done in the next 5 years. All of that information is uploaded through the system. And so then that's when they receive it and they review the request for the capital projects.
Thank you very much, Colin. Trustee Waters.
I understand that this is a wish list, but number 2, a new grade 8 or 6 to 8 school in Northeast Red Deer, we've been wishing for that for a long time now, haven't we? Hasn't that been on the list for many years?
It's been on our list for a number of years.
So I know why it's there, but why is it there? Because the modernization of Gateway and Fairview and Glendale schools are important too. And yes, it'd be nice to have a new school, no doubt about it, but I'm also concerned about the schools with the kids in it now that have issues. So, and the government, I don't know, yes, it's up to the government, but I just don't know if it's still worth having it on there, knowing full well that other schools are in dire needs of repair. So I mean, I've seen this before, and it stays on there. It's been on there for how long, and the government has not looked at it yet. And I just, as much as we need it, I'm afraid it's going to interfere, or could interfere, with some of our other schools that need the modernization now.
Colin.
It's a great question. I actually meant to point that out even though you put, you know, the board would put this as your wish list, they would say, look and see number 1 and say Hunting Hills. That's already approved, so we obviously don't need to approve it. Look at the next one, say, oh, they're asking for a new school. I don't think we'll do that this year. They'll move to the next one, right? So even though you have it as that list or whatever, they may decide that because of maybe the size of the school and, you know, some of all the details of the backup and data that was provided, they may actually say Oriole Park is the one that we want to choose for Red Deer Public Schools, right? So even though it's number 4 on the list, it's not necessarily that they're going to pick off 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Oriole Park will never get picked. They'll actually may just skip over those 3 first ones and say Oriole Park is the one that we choose for them.
So the new 6 to 8 school, that's beside the Catholic high schools or not? This is 6 to 8?
No, it's the one in Timber Ridge,
Okay.
Close to Barry Wilson.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Trustee Manning.
Just building on Trustee Waters' question, do you have the utilization rates for our middle schools?
I don't have them on me.
Well, I'm just wondering what our utilization rate is, and if it's justifiable. I know our enrollment's been dropping, and I know that there's, you know, groups of students that come through, and, you know, you can kind of predict what's coming through into the middle schools and into the high schools. Is it justifiable for us to have that as number 2 on the list? I guess with our utilization rates, I'm not sure what they are.
It's 77%, isn't it?
That's overall. I can quickly grab it.
So it's a fair question. It's like our West Park Middle School is overutilized over the 100% mark. Eastview and Central Middle School would be a little less, in the high 60s, low 70s. And then we have GH Daw is nearing capacity, Normando and Glendale. I would have to ask Colin to find those numbers.
Yeah, I have them here. And so 85, anything over 85% is considered to be full, right? So Central Middle School is 84%.
Or higher.
Eastview is 76%, and it's our largest middle school. West Park Middle is 120%. So then obviously the other, the K-8s, so GH Daw is 96%.
Sorry, say that one again.
96.
For which one?
GH Daw.
Thank you.
And I think that's 79% for Glendale.
Glendale?
Yeah. And then Normando is 84. So
So
they
do
are
they,
quite
do they
full.
take the overall average, or they don't look at school by school, obviously, right? They take the overall.
Nope, they would do each school, right? Because say like West Park Middle School, being that it's at 120%, there was a request for modulars, and we're still waiting for final approval on that. Even though we have the preliminary approval, they did look at that school, and and say that they could use a modular or two, additional modulars, right? So, and it would be the same.
But wouldn't they say to us, siphon off some of your students to another school?
They might, and I think that is something that the board needs to consider, and that's when you enter into a boundary review conversation. Part of our move towards the academy model, we believe will take some of the stress off some of our overutilized schools and redistribute through those, but we won't know until we actually find out what the registrations are.
Trustee McCully?
It was in the news in the last couple of weeks that Edmonton Public was making a public statement because none of their new school requests were fulfilled, but a number of Edmonton Catholic school requests were fulfilled. Colin, do you have any sense or data if there is in the province been a higher number of Catholic schools that have been getting their requests approved and a number of public school requests not getting approved?
I don't have that, no.
Is this something the board would be interested in acquiring some information on? And if we do, what would we do with it? It was just very interesting and eye-opening to me to see that, our capital, only Catholic schools got the approval.
Trustee Summers?
Would this be something that we bring to PSBA and ask them to look at?
It certainly could be it depends on what our board wants to do with it. At the end of the day, if we want to take it to ASBA, if we want to take it to PSBA, and then like you kind of answered your own question, like, okay, we seek said information, then what?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with that?
I want to point out that we did receive as Red Deer Public a $40 million modernization for Hunting Hills High School in the last year. It's not that we were ignored with our request. That's a pretty substantial offer.
Trustee Waters?
Bev, I agree with you. I guess the difficulty that I do have though is if we have to move kids boundaries again, it's a cost to us because all of a sudden kids become now eligible for a bus ride that we have to do. So I mean, it's the government's not going to give us money for that, so it's going to come out of something else. So I really think that I don't think we should just have to move the whole neighborhood out of a school that they're already there for just because another school might be at 83 and we're going to bring it up to 90. So I'm not sure that I agree with having another look at rezoning and so forth.
You're not in favor of rezoning and stuff?
No, none of it means moving kids from schools to schools to schools again. We've done that a few times.
Well, do you think that it's fair that some schools are at 120% and then some schools are at like 70%?
No, but I'm also
Utilization,
looking
that's
at the
fair.
cost. I mean, is the government going to give us money for all this? Highly unlikely. Transportation, but who knows? I mean, it's a conversation you'll have to have with the community and the parents. I've been to a couple of those before, and they're not pleasant because people just don't want to leave their neighborhood. It's their neighborhood.
Colin?
I think one I was just gonna say about I don't know what you would find if you tried to find the data on Catholic versus public. I think you would probably find some, obviously, an answer, but I think the response would be that it's need-based, right? So they're giving schools to where it's needed, right? So it would be that it's a growing population that wants to attend that school in that neighborhood or a school in that neighborhood, so then they would approve the building of a new school, and it may or may not be a public or Catholic school, right? So I'm assuming that's what we would find, right? But it could be 50-50. That's just what popped in my head is everyone has their list and they look through it, and it appears that it needs to be here so that they approve a new school. And, yeah, they did attend. It did look like it was Catholic schools, or the 4 that they approved. Chad said we've got a modernization, and I did see a couple other. I think that there's at least one that's a replacement school that is, it'll be new to them. It doesn't get listed as a new school, and that one was a public school. I think it was in Hackney. So, and then the other one was, yeah, it's an interesting, because when obviously when I was putting this together, I'm kind of thinking what, is the priorities and stuff. And if you look at, the projections were projected to kind of stay either the same or decline in our enrollment, but that's today's, projection. A couple of years ago, they were projecting us to, continue to grow, right? And just, I think obviously with Red Deer, it's so volatile with what's going on in the oil and gas, right? So I would be hesitant to remove a new middle school request and then Red Deer boom in 2 years from now, and then we add it back to the list, right? I just would think if we left it on the list just to kind of see over the next year or two where Red Deer is kind of going, and then see where it's going. And I think, like I said, they'll approve a modernization if they feel that it's needed, and kind of skip over a new school request if they don't feel it's needed.
Thank you, Trustee Manning.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Trustee Waters. I don't want to uproot communities, and I'm just trying to look at it from the government's perspective, right? They don't have unlimited money, no matter how much we think they might, they don't. And so, do I think that the decisions that are always made at that level are completely pragmatic and practical? No, I'm not naive enough to think that it's not partly political. And so I think we have to use our best judgment. We have to be good stewards of the money that we do have. We have to recognize that they look at it from the provincial perspective, whereas we just look at it from our own Red Deer perspective. So I appreciate the work that's gone into this, and I would like to move that we approve the 3-year capital plan as presented.
Thank you very much, Trustee Manning. I do have Associate Superintendent Rustin on my speakers list.
I just wanted to clarify about the transportation. So when you do a boundary change, as long as they're in their designated school, so you would change those designations, and as long as they're within the 1.6 or 2.4, the money would be provided. So it's whatever you officially designate as a catchment area. So I just wanted you to know that there wouldn't be, any greater cost as far as that goes.
Thank you for that. With regards to the motion on the floor, all those in favor? Carried. 10.6, update, policy 19, sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. Superintendent Erickson.
Yes, thanks very much. I first presented this after receiving feedback back in January at our regular board meeting. Trustees provided some input and asked for some modifications be made. You will see those modifications in blue. The older changes that were approved by the board are in red and remain in red. So one of the more significant you see throughout is the addition of 2S LGBTQIA+ at the request of Trustee Gould and some further research by our SOGI lead, Trevor Pickert. The first one, going on the first page, the board has a legal responsibility to ensure that each student enrolled in a school operated by the board. The piece in blue is directly from the Education Act. There was some talk about finessing, including caregivers, including all these other individuals. I went back into the Education Act and just pulled out the wording from there. The Education Act also has some definitions in terms of those individuals. So that's the piece that I included there. Under number 4, under the specifics, I added in June. That was a request where we identified the specific month, but did not identify the week. And then in 13, there was talk about the redundancy of 13 and 14. 14 and 15 are directly from the Education Act. We also had 13 in there. I would say the differentiation I would point out is that we're supporting these in all schools. And we had a discussion about what support means. And I think we may need further clarification on what support means. Is that monetary support? Is it support by ensuring that we continue to have a SOGI lead at the division level, the advisory committee? What would our definition of support be as a board of trustees? Further to that, there were no other changes that were requested beyond those that you see in blue, but I think I would like some direction in terms of what would support be? And what would qualify as that support? Is it monetary? Is it to continue that SOGI lead and the advisory committee? And would that be what the board is seeking for that purpose?
Trustee Gould?
Question, so do we support financially other clubs in some of the schools? Because I didn't understand the monetary question, but.
Yeah, not from a division perspective.
Right.
Schools put money towards the different organizations, student organizations in their building at times if there needs to be some support from the school. But if this is a board, we also don't have policies for every one of the student organizations in schools either. This is a board policy that talks about that support. So that would be my question is, does the board want to support with anything in that regard, or is it the board does support it by having a SOGI lead that we have at Central Services to lead this work, along with the establishment of that student advisory committee. I need to determine how much money to set aside in the budget for things like education development, those kind of pieces that need to be happening in our schools as outlined in the policy. But I can do that through the operational side.
Right.
Trustee Ward?
By support, and I might be going to left field with this, but if we say support, will that include that every school follows the process, where there's some schools may not or don't have to, like in the past? So does that mean now that we put support in that they must follow? Every school must do this if somebody requests?
And that's already in the
have will and
education
shall.
act.
It's in there saying that the schools,
Yeah,
we will
will.
support.
Okay.
So it's not optional from that
The
perspective.
interesting piece that students pointed out was the fact that we always talked about whether the students needed to request. I believe it was students that pointed out through the student advisory committee that they are the ones that approach administration for any organization within the building, right? So this is one and the same for that as well,
Okay.
where they're making that request. If the board so pleases, I can ensure that I do things through an operational perspective to make sure that these are supported, whether it's, the questions will come, whether it's resources in our libraries, like, are there supports that we provide as a board to ensure that those continue to be enhanced across all of our schools?
But a lot of that's already in the policy in the sense of support materials and SOGI and all that kind of stuff, because it's nicely, clearly outlined.
Yeah.
The only quick thing I have is under the beginning, sorry to just jump back, right under definitions, on page whatever it is, I would just put two-spirit at the beginning because that's the order. And you probably just missed it because it came later on before, but now since it's the beginning of that alphabet, that string of letters, it'd be best to put that first.
Sorry,
Number 9.
No, not number 9, but under
No,
definition.
under the
in
definition.
Sorry.
Under the
definition, so
definition.
two-spirit to go at the beginning. Limited to, and then take, so it's in the third.
Two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, so start with.
So right now it's in the
Two-spirit.
third line.
Yeah.
Just move that to the second line before lesbian.
If I could also make the suggestion that the board request information on this policy each year, once a year, to determine progress.
I think that's a good idea. Because we gotta see if it's a living document and things are shifting, because that's why it's here. Yeah.
But can we just go to the, what Superintendent Erickson said? I saw some head nods and some yeses. Will of the board, show of hands, for this to be brought back on a yearly basis. To see if I'd be in favor of that. So yes, it is the will of the board that this be brought back on a yearly basis to see, with regards to your other question, with regards to support. I think that is an operational piece. will of the board, is that more of an operational piece? I don't think that our board should be handcuffing the superintendent with regards to a monetary value, or you shall do this, you shall do that. I think it is an operational piece, and I think that.
Yeah, I know, I was just kind of agreeing, but saying that if we're coming back to it every year, then we will be checking and saying this works, this doesn't work, and we'll say, by the way, buddy,
The superintendent
example,
is able
yeah.
to come back and say, we supported policy 19 by doing X, Y, and Z, and this is what we did.
I could provide updates in the operational
Yeah.
sides.
Perfect.
buddy.
Vice Chair Pico.
Thank you. On page 32 of the package, so under definitions, the specifically number 1, the division will establish a sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression advisory committee. I'm just wondering, because I think perhaps at the January citywide school council meeting, an ad hoc committee was formed. Is that going to do any work, or?
That they put their hands up to be a part of this committee.
Oh, okay. So this is, okay,
And
this is
they've
the
already-
parents that are in here. Okay.
Yeah, and they've already met once.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee McCully.
I have a couple comments, and I'd welcome any discussion around them. On the first page where the second paragraph says the board has a legal responsibility. Don't-
Sorry, just cut you off. Where are you?
So on
Second paragraph.
second paragraph of the very first part of it,
Under
At the
expressions.
beginning of the.
yeah.
Under expressions.
Oh, okay, perfect.
When it first came to the board, the SOGI policy, it wasn't because of anything legal. And I'm glad we're addressing that there is a legal responsibility to do this. But I would like to add something to that instead of just having has a legal responsibility. If there is support to add, you know, a legal and moral or ethical responsibility as well, because from my understanding and from my interactions with having this policy come forward, legal really was never part of the reason why people wanted to talk about this and why the board brought it forward. It was more the moral and ethics and caring part of it.
If I can just, that piece doesn't necessarily speak to the SOGI policy itself. It speaks to what our obligations are as a board to provide that safe, warm, welcoming
Right.
environment, right? With a sense of belonging. That's the legal responsibility that the board has around that policy, around that, providing those environments. So yes, the SOGI policy helps assure that, I'll say. But I would open up the floor. I think your big question is, does the board want to have a legal and ethical responsibility? That terminology comes right out of the Education Act. That's where I pulled it from, around safe and caring environments, right? And we know that we are also going to be viewing a policy around safe and caring and free of discrimination and harassment coming up soon as well. But I would open up the floor to that conversation for sure.
Yeah, and it was just a conversation around it just to make it seem a little more welcoming to me, but up for debate.
I would kind of say that it's essentially built into the whole, I got it screaming at me happily everywhere through the whole thing. So for me, the ethics, the underlying support is there without necessarily putting it at the beginning with the definition, because I think it's baked in.
It's embedded in there.
But sorry?
It's embedded in there without putting the words in there, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I'm saying that legal thing sort of establishes that, but it's absolutely everywhere through the whole document. So that we have that ethical, we have that essential support, and we're there for everybody in that sense, right? So.
Other trustees? Vice Chair Pico?
I do agree with Trustee McCauley that when it's stated in there as legal, and I also understand Trustee Gould's point about it's immerse the whole point of the policy, but I wonder if saying the board has a legal and ethical responsibility, because we do want to make sure we take ownership for this policy. We're not putting this policy together because we needed to, but because it's the right thing to do.
Fascinating.
Trustee Summers?
Do we put legal responsibility in every policy, those two words, if it's in the Education Act?
Question?
Yeah, that was a good question.
I don't recall seeing it.
I agree with Trustee Gould that I feel it's kind of embedded in, like, in the first paragraph, the board will, and then the next paragraph has, and then third paragraph affirms. Like, I think it is covered in this policy without saying that it is a moral and ethical responsibility. I think it is covered in those first 4 paragraphs that it is an ethical and moral, but I could go either way. If we want to throw in the words moral and ethically, I'm
It's just
6
extra
to 1,
oomph.
half dozen to the other. It is.
Could
Right,
just say the board has a responsibility. You know, your point that do we have legal note in all of our policies, and if we don't, why don't we just say it has a responsibility? And therefore it's our responsibility one way or the other.
Well, legal gives it that extra kind of special weight. I mean, you know, whether we keep it or not, and we're talking about it, but if I were reading this, I'd say, oh, wow, this is like official, you know what I mean? And since you're getting that extra word that, ooh, legal, yikes.
All right, so
Bruce has a comment.
Bruce?
You'll notice at the end of most of our policies, there is a legal reference. So at the end of item number 27, we have the legal references stated for this. Many of our policies will have references to other pieces of legislation. And in this one, you've identified the Education Act, but many of our policies do have a legal connection from particularly the School Act, but you can also see, you know, there's an aspect with the Human Rights Act and others that are in here. So, you know, there is that reference, but I would say that's not exclusive to this policy. Most of our policies would have that. Therefore, do you need to have legal in there? It's referenced here.
Good point, Bruce.
Very much. With regards to Trustee McCulley, adding the word moral and ethical, that's what you're wanting to do, right?
And or, yeah.
And or?
Like
Ethical, not moral. Let's add ethical. I like the word moral. It's got this underlying whiff of something for me.
So the board has a legal and ethical?
I've heard that strength legal and has an ethical is what I've
I've heard all 3.
heard. At different points.
Yes.
2 each, 2 for you, 2 for you.
All right, so the board has a legal and ethical. Are you okay with that, Trustee McCulley, being proposed to the board with regards to seeing if that's what we want to add?
Let's start with that.
Okay, so adding and ethical. Show of hands with regards to adding ethical from trustees. I'm okay with that. 4. And then moral, we're going to do that? No, we're good? So we're good.
And I have another question, if we're done that part.
Yep, we are. Go ahead.
If we could move down to number 4, where it talks about the in June.
Yes.
Appreciate greatly about it being in June. I have an addition to add to it I would like the board to discuss. I would like to add, the division will support and celebrate Pride Week and relative activities in June. And they will declare and officially, to put before in June, say the board will declare and officially recognize the celebration of Pride Week.
Say that again, sorry.
So I'll say the division will support, and then add with the correct grammar, declare and officially recognize the celebration of Pride Week and related activities in June.
So are you just wanting stronger language? Is that what you're asking for?
Well, not only stronger
A
language,
declaration would be an announcement to begin that week of some sort from the board chair or the board itself.
yeah, and to officially recognize it, we raise a flag like we do.
But if each school is celebrating it differently, do you go to each school and do it, or is there, or does
The
the board sort of says, we as a
Right.
board are putting on our party hats for this week? Is that what you're saying?
Or for the, like it's for the month.
Yeah, we could start the month that way.
Yeah, so we officially have a
Yeah,
flag
yeah,
raising
yeah.
or something,
Yeah, I like
or
that.
we do a statement on behalf of the board, and
I wear the clothes I keep hidden away for most of the
in
year.
your closet.
I don't, I got out of there.
I think we need clarification on wording for the
Yeah,
board to weigh in on.
Okay, so what I said, will declare and officially, so the division will support and declare and officially recognize the celebration of Pride Week and related activities in June.
So could I put a comma there? Will support, comma, declare, and officially recognize.
Yeah.
The
Trust-
celebration of Pride Week. And
Trustee Waters, is yours in relation to that? Okay, go ahead.
I hear what you're saying, Diane, and I support it, but I guess the only concern I have is other groups that want to be recognized in some way that may come forward.
Then we address them,
Okay,
absolutely. This does
Doesn't
not
preclude
take
anything.
away from anything.
No.
okay. No,
I
I just
don't
wanna
wanna
make
say
sure,
that-
yeah,
Because if there's another celebration in June that we want to declare and recognize, absolutely.
okay.
This doesn't say, okay, to me, this doesn't say this is the only thing we do in June.
I just wanted a
Right.
clarification to understand it. That's fine.
Any other trustees?
Sorry.
With regards to the wording, Chad, do you have it written down?
the division will support, declare, and officially recognize the celebration of Pride Week and related activities.
Can I see a show of hands with regards to that wording? Being, so then it would become, it would change the wording of number 4 then, right?
Yep.
To the wording that you just said. Show of hands with regards to supporting that. I'm okay with that. That is the will of the board, that the wording will be changed to that. With regards to policy 19, are there any other, sorry,
That was all I had at this time, thank you.
perfect, thank you.
I'm just saying I love the will of the board. Every time you say it, it feels like we're in a spaceship and it's like Star Trek. The will of the board, it feels like seismic. Anyway, that's an
Should I
aside.
get like a pilot's hat?
Make it so.
I look for a motion if there are no, I have no one else on my speaker list at this time.
Wow.
Is the motion though just to go back and bring it forward to us again? Or since
I think
the
this is it.
This is it.
recommendations were passed,
It's done.
then I
It's
would be happy to move that the board approve the newly amended and rewritten, what actually am I supposed to say? Because there was wording, wasn't there?
There is.
The policy is amended.
Yes. Is that, I move that the Board of Trustees accept the changes to policy 19, sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression.
All those in favor?
I think it'd be better to say approve the amended, right? We don't accept the changes, do we not approve them? I think we
What
do.
wording?
You approve all changes.
Yeah, so maybe approve
Approve
the changes or as amended, whichever.
Colin, you
A
got that?
legal and ethical responsibility to accept them.
With you?
I put through the changes.
All right. That was unanimous, right? You believe? Can I see a show of hands again, please?
Oh, yeah.
So it is unanimous. 10.7 ASBA report. Vice Chair Peacock.
Thank you. So I have nothing to report other than that the next meeting will be March 28th. And as it was discussed at our previous meeting, that was going to be virtual. So I haven't heard anything different from that. So March 28th anyhow, one way or the other.
Thank you very much. And would you like to?
I move the acceptance of my report as information.
Thank you very much. I see no, sorry, Trustee
I
Maddox.
was just in favor.
Oh, all those in favor? You were early. Thank you very much. 10.8. PSBA report, Trustee McCully.
Thank you. Attached is my written report on the PD sessions. Those of you that attended would love your feedback. I thought it was very informative. I thought it was very relevant what they were talking about, starting with Charlene Barhead and her experience and comments around the TRC. You know, I'm so thankful to have her as a fellow trustee now. She's just an amazing individual to bounce things off of, and her care and attention to Indigenous perspectives is always enlightening. The other parts that I touched on, of course, the board policy and administrative, always good to revisit that and see what sandboxes are yours. And then ending the night with the conversation via Zoom with Amy and talking about governance and curriculum was very, very powerful as well. I wasn't able to attend the meeting part, so Angela was there on my behalf, and if there's anything she would like to talk about, and then we'll go into the strategic planning that we need to give feedback.
Sorry, I'm not quite ready.
I'll speak while you're looking
Yeah.
for that. I want to recognize as a new trustee how well you did in the environmental scan. Trustee Summers, it was remarkable for the very short period of time you had and how you delivered it. It was very, very, very good. So thank you very, very much. And recognizing that Trustee McCully was sick. PSBA also recognized that there was some technical issues with regards to that PSBC that is being addressed. So some things that are going to be different at the next PSBC. We are actually going to have a technical person in the room at all times. We are going to be on our own network in the, I can't think of the word, Birch's. I was writing with a pen, I probably have it in my pocket. Whatever that area is called. I think one of the issues that we ran into was that we weren't on our own network, and it was a little bit different. We hadn't been in person for a while, so there was some glitches. There's also going to be a different camera, one camera at the front, one camera at the back instead of the way that it was. So there will be, it will be different. The Hilton recognized that there were some issues with regards to the delivery of the service that we received, and that will be addressed and has been addressed.
So you're saying we're going in, the forward will be hybrid?
I believe that the next PSBC will be hybrid, yes.
All right.
Trustee Summers, go ahead.
So these are just some of the themes from multiple boards that I kind of grouped together. Social media campaign, Grand Prairie, Northern Lights, Northern Land School Division all mentioned that they were actively pursuing a social media incentives within their divisions. Zoom technology has helped many rural divisions connect while saving travel time and money. Transportation struggles, pretty much every board said something about that, whether it be insurance, buses, drivers, lack of money, terrible roads. So, you know, we're all together on that, on that one. Lots of new trustees and boards connecting, new boards connecting with each other. New superintendents for McMurray, new superintendents and senior staff. So for McMurray, Prairie Rose, High Prairie, Wolf Creek, and Northern Gateway have recently hired or are looking for new superintendents or deputies. And then things that I kind of highlighted or I noticed that were maybe in line with us, with Red Deer is Wolf Creek and St. Albert highlighted mental health and wellness priorities. And Medicine Hat has focused on promoting trustees with a more visible in-school approach. So they're sending their trustees to the schools more. Medicine Hat also created a student school senate, which might be part of that further conversation to communicate with trustees. The Edmonton board met with their city council to discuss Edmonton Public Schools being neighborhood community hubs and strengthening their municipal connections with each other.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Trustee McCauley and Trustee Summers for that report. Would one of you like to move?
We have to go over the strategy first.
Okay.
And then it'll all be one, right?
What do you mean? Go ahead.
Well, we have to, some of the homework, one of the homework things from PSBA was to come forward next with our recommendation of what we feel our
right.
strategies would be. So my understanding is that would be all part of the report, or do you
Yes.
feel it'll be different?
No, we can go ahead and do that.
Okay. Before I get into discussion on which strategies or goals Red Deer Public would like to put in in a priority, Nicole and I were sitting next to each other when we received these big long sheets. The people on Zoom didn't get to see them, and we felt this would be a really good board project at some time. Talking about impact of what we want to do, how we see it, how other people see it, and it's a really good work plan. So I have unedited copies that I'm going to give to Chad, that if we possibly have it as a board retreat or a team building in the near future.
Yep.
Nicole and I thought that was a really good way to make the board see things from a different perspective when we go over ideas and ed plans and priorities and advocacy.
Simon Breakspear stuff.
Just a question was, because I did attend virtually on Thursday, was that part of Rick and Mark's presentation?
Was it Rick's or was it?
Because the previous one, there's one about policy versus administrative. So
I think
that
this
wasn't
did come
it,
from
so this-
Dale. Didn't it come from Dale? Not Rick and,
Yes.
Oh, okay,
It was not, it wasn't.
because I
Rick
mean,
and
that was only
Mark's.
the technical problems was during Rick and Mark's, but anyhow, I just was curious where it fit into it.
Yeah, it was not, I think you're right, I think it
Yeah.
was theirs.
so the one homework piece that I would love the board's feedback on, Mandy sent everybody on their table. There should be the Public School Boards Association Alberta work plan, and what me and Angela need to bring back to the next meeting in April is what do we feel Red Deer Public can help on, and which one would we participate in the most, if I'm understanding it correctly, Nicole? Because we can't do everything, but which ones do we feel as a board we can really assist the Public School Board Association in their work plan?
I mean, like awareness versus capacity versus leadership and management, like
Yeah.
one of the subtitles, we take a look at one and say, this is something we get excited about or something?
Yeah, so there's two priorities, and the first priority has 4 goals, the second priority has 4 goals as well. If we feel we could do just one priority goal, or if we feel we can do a goal out of priority 1 and priority 2, that would be great.
Oh, yeah.
In the room, a majority of individuals felt priority 1, goal 1 was what they could help the Public School Board Association with. And my feeling is that would probably be where Red Deer Public is as well.
Goal priority 2, goal 2.
Priority 2, goal 2. engage in research project related to public school education.
Did you say goal to
Priority 2, goal 2,
priority to?
page 4.
Okay, okay, thanks.
We even did that today already. Actually.
So my understanding is we would go back with in April to say, these are what we can work on. Do I need to have specifics on how we will help them with that at this time? I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
We heard from the group in terms of what they think.
Any other trustees? Questions, comments, concerns? If not,
Well, I like the advocates for public school education, because we start to talk about that a little bit today, how we're sifting through and what we're saying makes sense. So the message we're giving, as Bev was saying, we aren't going to people and slamming private schools and charter schools just because we are in public education. But if we find out how we can best advocate, because we're looking at the financial piece, those other things. So I think that's good because it supports the work here we're doing in the board, and then we become better ambassadors, right?
I think I have mentioned, I'm not sure. One of the things that the board of directors with PSBA is looking at moving forward with the work plan is them to be more like SMART goals, or, because these are very broad and you can cast a net and probably catch a bunch of these at once, but they're not overly specific or measurable. So to be able to actually, but that will be something that comes. So is everyone good with what has been proposed with regards to Trustee McCulley bringing that forward as our board's recommendation?
Could I just have that repeated? So there was priority 1, goal 1, the first strategy, and then was there 2 or 3 things that you're gonna take forward?
Chad recommended priority 2, goal 2.
Priority 2, goal 2, yeah. And so it is 2 things we're thinking of, okay. I
Is
wasn't
that-
sure
I don't
about
know,
that.
I don't
That's
know if
fine.
anybody was buying into that one.
I bought
think
into
you guys
it.
were goal 1, priority 1.
You said priority 2, goal 2, number 1.
No, priority 2, goal 2 was a suggestion I made, but there was other talk about priority 1, goal 1.
You can bring back more than one thing as well.
I'd be happy to do those 2. Priority 1, goal 1, and priority 2, goal 2.
Priority 1, goal 1. Priority 2, goal.
Floor is open. Any,
So that's my recommendation.
Well, that's more fun.
would you like to move your report?
I would like to move my report, please.
Thank you. If there are no comments, all those in favor? All right.
If after some digestion time before April, if somebody wants to come back to me or Angela and say, no, I really want to do goal 4 because, my email's always open.
10.9 Superintendent's report. Superintendent Erickson.
Sure, you see a number of the activities that I was undertaking this month. Of particular note around the planning and discussions, obviously we had our annual board retreat and where we reviewed a lot of the public engagement that we had throughout the month of January and early February, and we're able to have our first crack at our new education plan. So that was a very exciting part of the work in the last number of weeks. The other of note, the Red Deer Polytechnic meeting with the announcement of their new education program that will include elementary education. So big congratulations to Red Deer Polytech for the approval of that degree program that they'll be offering moving forward.
Thank you very much. I look for a motion or any questions from trustees.
I will move the acceptance of the superintendent's report as information.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? Carried. Board Chair's report, I have nothing to report. Did you guys get my emails? There is correspondence that we sent. There was a few letters with regards to the cross-ministry collaboration, the diploma exams, and to extend student funding. And now we will hit celebrations. So it's so different doing this actually in person. I don't even know where to start. Never mind looking at a computer screen. I am going to start to my left and one celebration, and we'll go around the room. Trustee Summers.
Well, I'd like to celebrate Mamma Mia. It was so fantastic. We were blown away. I went with my girls and we were blown away.
You stole mine.
Yeah. And I apologize to anyone else if I stole it. But yeah, congratulations to them. That was just fabulous.
I'll pass, thank you.
In regards to the letter regarding cross-ministry collaboration, I would like to celebrate our superintendent's participation on the board of the Child Advocacy Center, who just got $3.4 million. That's a celebration. It's good for kids.
Colin?
Well, since we're in person, I should do a celebration. I
We
thought
should celebrate the $4 million deficit.
That's right. We can celebrate that too. But, I was just thinking because I always see quarterly financial reports, nice little memo and stuff like that, and I just wanted to celebrate. I guess even though it may look like I'm doing all of the work, there's a bunch of people that are always doing all the work kind of behind the scenes, right? So the office, secretaries of the schools are busy working on providing us information, and the school staff, and then obviously the payroll and HR group do a lot of work to make sure that everything's accurate. And then of course the 5 ladies in the accounting department are always busy working away quietly in their area, trying to make sure everything's accurate, and so that I can kind of just pull all of that information together, and hopefully, I can provide you guys with the details that you need in order to feel confident in what's being provided. So just want to celebrate all the hard work that they do.
Thank you very much. Bella?
Just want to celebrate our school-based administrators that they are engaging well with me for our attendance tracker program. So they're coming down here and we're exploring a new module that we have in Power School that allows them to put in information to keep track of our students who are generally not attending school. And I think it's been really powerful and so far more successful than anything we've done, I think, so far in the area of attendance. So that's my celebration.
Thank you very much. I'm going to come from the back and work my way back up to the table. Ron?
I want to celebrate, it's the same day, so it's 2 different things that both happen on the same day. Our administrators did their LMS training. If you remember earlier, or it was at the beginning of this school year, we purchased or we acquired Brightspace as our learning management system. For the first time, we jumped into that realm. And we started out slow, and we're starting to ramp up or scale up now. So on Tuesday morning, we had all of our administrators in with Tracy Wharton in, and I talked to about 4 or 5 different administrators who said she was fantastic, and everyone's really looking forward to using the new LMS, especially with the new curriculum. And then in the afternoon, we had, of course, we had our administrators there for our school admin meeting, first time in face-to-face for 2 years, not counting the hotel. But we did our ed plan feedback with them to get their ideas to bring back to you guys, hopefully in less than a month. And it went extremely well. I've been sifting all morning through their notes and papers, so that was great because we haven't done that in a long time, having those groups working together as teams. And we always talk about who's the smartest, the room is the smartest person in the room, and we had it there.
Thank you so very much. Bruce?
I'll pass, thank you.
Trustee Waters?
I'll pass, thank you.
Trustee Gould?
I was gonna, but I changed my mind. I'm gonna celebrate Friday night. I get to go to a rehearsal of Legally Blonde. And what I'm celebrating is Tara Kett's sensitivity when she sent out the invitation. She said, for those of you humans who are uncomfortable with public places and lots of people sitting around without masks, come to a rehearsal if you'd like. And because of my history as a theater director and stuff and working with youth, I thought it's great. I'm really comfortable in the rehearsal hall, so I'm going to be going and watching the rehearsal on Friday night. So I think that's worth celebrating.
Thank you very much. Trustee McCauley?
I'm going to celebrate the board retreat that we had a couple weeks ago. A big congratulations to our new and seasoned trustees that participated for the first time. I thought the conversation and the knowledge around the room was mind-blowing as usual. Everyone participated in whatever way they felt they needed to participate in. I felt everybody was heard. And I'm looking forward to the next 4 years with all you amazing individuals, and to look forward to how our 3-year ed plan is going to be implemented and all the good things that we have in place for our students and staff. And it's just a big yee-haw for me. I felt really good after that meeting. So celebrations.
Thank you very much, Trustee McCully. Superintendent Erickson.
I need to celebrate the last couple of days, having the opportunity to meet with our aspiring principals and engaging them in the interview process again. We are incredibly lucky to have the leadership we have in Red Deer Public. Unfortunately, we aren't able to hire everybody that applies each time, but boy, oh boy, are they all ready, willing, and capable individuals.
Thank you very much. So this week, or one of the things we talked about in our retreat was the Sports Academy, and this week that letter went out to parents, so I will celebrate that. We all know that we want all for all of our students, but sometimes you have to give a little bit extra with choices, and I think that this is a wonderful opportunity for some of our students within Red Deer Public School Division to explore a few new sports, and I'm super excited. There are a couple open houses that are in the next weekish, 2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks.
Yeah, so that would be my celebration, because everything else I had on my list got taken away. That's the downside of going last. I'll adjourn this meeting. I'll look for a motion to go into private.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you very much, Trustee Summers, and we will take a 5-10-ish minute break before we go back into private so people can refresh themselves.
Did we stop recording?
Yes.
Do we have
Yes,
to announce it?
I know.
Okay.
Shh, don't say a thing. Yeah. Turn off the recording.
How many people watch?
You peaked at 8.